All You Need to Know, the Bloomberg Quint podcast that prepares you for the day's business. Good morning. You're listening to the All You Need to Know podcast on Bloomberg Quint, and I'm Alex Matthew. Today is the 21st of January. The International Monetary Fund has cut India's forecast for growth in 2019 to as low as 4.8%, citing stress in the non-bank financial sector and weak rural income growth. This is seen picking up to 5.8% in 2020 and 6.5% in 2021. India's neighbour China, meanwhile, is seen growing slightly faster than previously projected at 6% in 2020, reflecting the recent trade deal with the US. The IMF has predicted that the world economy will strengthen as a whole in 2020, but at a slightly weaker pace than previously anticipated amid risks relating to trade and tensions in the Middle East. Global growth is pegged at 3.3% in 2020 by the IMF, up from 2.9% last year. The consumer lending business has clearly reached the bottom in India, and there are early signs of some uptick, according to Sanjeev Bajaj. In a conversation with Bloomberg Quint on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum's annual summit at Davos, Bajaj said his company Bajaj Finance was seeing a pickup in consumer durables business and home electronics and digital products verticals. For more on what he told Bloomberg Quint, and indeed to listen to or read about every conversation that takes place at Davos, do look up the website bloombergquint.com. The Supreme Court has approved a government application for taking over Unitech Limited and to appoint its nominees on the board of the property developer. The new board will assess projects that can be revived and will also decide on its resolution or whether it should be referred to bankruptcy proceedings. The Attorney General, who filed the application in the Supreme Court yesterday, said the government doesn't intend to infuse funds into any of the company's projects. In other news, the government has detected that many jewelers made high cash deposits which they failed to justify after the demonetization of high-value currency notes in 2016. That comes after the Income Tax Department scrutinized the high-value cash deposits made by a few jewelers during demonetization. The entire amount of such unexplained cash deposits will be taxed at an increased tax rate of 60% plus surcharge of 25% and education cess of 4%, along with a penalty of 10%. In the banking space, the government has said that it's filling the top-level vacancies at 3 large state-run banks, 2 of which have remained vacant for months, to help stabilize their operations. Sanjeev Chadha, who is currently Deputy Managing Director at State Bank of India, has been appointed Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Bank of Baroda. Atanu Kumar Das, who is one of the 3 Executive Directors at Bank of India, will be taken over as Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the lender. And finally, Lingam Venkata Prabhakar, who is currently serving as the Executive Director at Punjab National Bank, will be appointed as Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Canara Bank. In international news, US President Donald Trump and French President Emmanuel Macron have agreed to a truce in their dispute over digital taxes, according to a French diplomat. Now, neither side will impose punitive tariffs this year, and the 2 countries will continue negotiations along with their European partners until the end of 2020 in order to agree a global framework that ensures tech companies pay an appropriate amount of tax. China has reported a 4th death from a new SARS-like virus, which includes symptoms like fever and coughing. The illness, which originated in central China, is spreading from person to person and has in fact sickened medical workers, heightening concern about the risk of a wider transmission. The number of coronavirus cases in China surged over the weekend, and health authorities worldwide have increased testing. The timing couldn't be worse. With Lunar New Year just days away, which is a holiday season during which the nation's citizens rack up as many as 3 billion trips across the country to reunite with family, the spread of the virus could intensify. In international markets, Asian stocks were looking for direction in a muted trade, which followed yesterday's US holiday. Crude oil has pared the gains related to a supply disruption in Libya and Iraq. Brent crude was trading at $65.25 to the barrel last I checked. With that, it's over to Darshan Mehta for the trade setup for the day in India. Morning, Darshan. Sharp cuts yesterday. How are we looking at the start of trade today?
Hi Alex, good morning. Good morning everyone. Global cues are muted at this point of time. The SGX Nifty is also indicating a slightly muted outlook. But in terms of results, Nifty result will be Zee Entertainment. The other results include Polycab, Granules, Hudson Agro, Havells, HDFC AMC, ICICI Prudential Life, India Mart, Jai Bharat Maruti, Nugent Software, Sasken Technologies, Snowman Logistics and Tejas Networks. In terms of results announced yesterday, ICICI Securities, the revenues were up 4%, profit was up 36%. The profit was up on account of reduction in expenses and lower taxes. The retail equities and allied business segment revenues were up 5%. The distribution business revenues were down 4%. They have added in almost 94,000 new clients in the current quarter, much lower than the average quarterly run rate that they have. And broking market share gain and cost optimization is positive. KEI Industries results were in line with estimates. Revenues up 21%, profit up 49%, EBITDA up 18%. Cables and wires segment revenues were up 25% and the EPC projects revenue were up 54%. The domestic institutional sales was up 24% and export institutional sales was up 83%. The only issue was the gross margins, which contracted due to rise in copper prices, and the management expects to achieve 18 to 19% growth in FY20. They've already done 22% in the first 9 months. Just Dial's revenues up 4%, net profit up 8%, EBITDA up 21%. The margins were much better at 28% versus 24%, and that was due to lower other expenses. The margins were also aided by employee and ad cost controls. Realizations were down 5.8% YOY due to macro slowdown. The most important thing to watch out is the commentary on top-line visibility and B2B progress. Canfin Homes NII up 24% and net profit up 41%. Kotak had a con call post the earnings yesterday after market hours. They said that the credit growth is revised to 16 to 17% versus the estimated 18 to 20% guidance estimated at the start of the year. The loan growth guidance has also been lowered to less than mid-teens. The exit NIMs of 3.1% versus 3.15% guided earlier. The corporate slippages have come from 2 HFCs and the bank would look for a capital raise in calendar year 2021. There have been some changes to some of the MDs and CEOs appointed for the public sector banks. The government has appointed Chala Shetty as the MD of SBI for 3 years. For Bank of Baroda, Sanjeev Chandak has been appointed for a period of 3 years. He's the bank's MD and CEO. For Canara Bank, it is Lingam Prabhakar, who's the MD and CEO till December 2020. And Atanu Das has been appointed for Bank of India. NBCC received the letter of acceptance from the Central Coalfield from the Jharkhand project. The project management services contract is worth 730 crores. Balrampur Chini Mills, there has been an explosion occurred at its distillery units and the company says it may take 7 to 10 days to get the capacity fully up. The accident would not cause any production loss to the company on an annual basis. In terms of block deals, Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund acquired 1.9 lakh shares in Atul Auto. In terms of brokerages, Phillip Capital has initiated on Johnson Controls Hitachi with a target price of 2,700. Haitong has initiated on Prince Pipe with a target price of 262. HSBC's cut Interglobe Aviation's target to 1250 from the earlier 1305. Bank of America Merrill Lynch has downgraded Marico to an underperformer from a buy. And UBS has raised MCX target to 1650 from the earlier 1200. But there's much more you need to know before trade actually starts. For that, log on to our website bloombergquint.com and click on the All You Need to Know tab and you'll be prepared for morning trade.
Thanks, Darshan. And as always, thank you all for listening in. This is Alex Matthews signing off. Have a great day.
I hope you enjoyed listening to All You Need to Know. Did you know that you could listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app? On the IVM Podcast app, along with this, we have a number of other shows which you think you'll enjoy. Listen to Cyrus Says with Cyrus Brocha as the host. Listen to Pesa Vesa with Anupam Gupta. The Scene and the Unseen with Amit Verma. Or Shunya One hosted by Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay and myself. Check out the IVM Podcast app to get more talk content that you will enjoy.